Kumusta? Mabuhay, magandang gabi, and maligayang pagbabalik sa akin channel. Ako po si Ovela. I am your host, Ovela, and I promised you that I would react to the interview between Boy Abunda and the current VP, Leni Robredo, but also a candidate for the elections in the Philippines of 2022, if I got a version with subtitles, with English subtitles, and I did. And thank you and shout out to Carlo Alfonso for this version of the video. Thank you so much. I first reacted to the interview between Boy Abunda and Bongbong Marcos because Bongbong Marcos tends to answer in English, so it was much easier for me to understand the conversation. Also, people have been asking me to react to his debate / interview with the Deep Probe. I think that's what it's called, the Deep Probe. And you guys are telling me that, he answered mostly in English, that, it was between 80 and 90% English. So we'll see about that. If I have time, I may react to it as well. And yeah, thank you for answering all my questions about why Bongbong Marcos did not attend the debate with the other candidates. I appreciate your answers. All right, I hope you guys are ready. It's going to be a long video because the interview lasts about an hour and 15 minutes. But before we start, make sure to follow me on Instagram at Music Game News, because that is where you can DM me your suggestions. And without further ado, let's jump right into it.
Tonight, our guest is the Vice President of the Republic of the Philippines, Vice President Leni Robredo. VP Leni, magandang gabi. Welcome.
Magandang gabi.
Thank you for having me.
Let's now begin our interview. Let's talk about the environment, specifically mining, which I think is one of the most controversial environmental issues. Noong Abril 2021, President Duterte lifted the 9-year moratorium on granting new mining permits through Executive Order 130. Samantala, December 2021, the Department of Environment and Natural Resources also lifted the ban on open pit mining through Department Administrative Order number 2021-40. Pinuri ito ng mining industry. Samantala, binatikos ito ng mga environment and human rights defenders. Ang aking katanungan, VP Leni, you are applying to become the President of the Republic of the Philippines. If elected, pagtitibayin mo ba ang desisyong ito o ipapawalang bisa?
Ipapawalang bisa ko. Para sa akin, Boy, napakahalaga pagdating sa usapin ng environment na binibigyan at in-empower yung mga maaapektuhan. Gustong sabihin, binibigyan ng mekanismo yung mga stakeholders na pinapakinggan yung boses nila. Maraming mga mahahalagang batas na kailangang ipasa na. Example lang doon yung land use bill. Kailangan mapasa na yun bilang batas. Dahil yun yung magsasabi, yun yung magpapanukala, alin bang mga lugar dito sa bansa natin ang kailangang ideklara ng mga no mining zones. Pag hindi pa ito napapasa, yung pag-i-issue natin ng mga permits ay hindi matatag yung nagiging basehan nito. Pangalawa, dun sa mga lugar na ipapayag yung mining dahil nakasaad sa Land Use Act na pwede yung gawing mga mineral sites, sisiguraduhin natin na yung makikinabang yung locality. Hindi negosyante, hindi Filipino, pero yung makikinabang, lalo na yung mga indigenous peoples, dapat sila yung makinabang. Dapat pagpapayagan nito, Tito Boy, sisiguraduhin natin na yung boses ng mga maaapektuhan ay pinapakinggan. Having said that, maraming mga bagay na parang sila yung magse-safeguard. Sila yung magse-safeguard ng environment. Aasikasuhin natin yung i-rationalize natin yung mga iba't ibang mga opisina na walang overlapping ng functions, halimbawa ng DENR, ng MGB, ng Climate Change Commission. Sisiguraduhin natin na klaro yung kanilang mga roles para yung accountability klaro din. Sisiguraduhin natin na kahit sa pagpili ng mga mamumuno sa mga opisinang ito, pinakinggan din.
And by the way, the subtitles are not perfect because the person that actually translated them is not that comfortable with the language, but at least they made the effort to translate the video for me and made sure that I can at least understand the global, meaning of what Leni Robredo is saying.
Natin yung boses ng mga environment advocates kasi napakahalaga, Tito Boy, na yung magre-represent sa akin sa cabinet. Siya yung magiging alter ego ko. Siya yung alter ego ng president. Dapat nagkakasundo kami sa paniniwala. And yung paniniwalang yon, yung pinaka-priority natin, ano ba yung makakabuti sa taong bayan? Ano ba yung makakabuti sa bansa natin?
Okay. VP Leni, is this tantamount to saying na ikay para sa total mining ban or ikay naniniwala ba sa sustainable mining?
Ako naniniwala ako, boy, sa sustainable mining. Pero para sa akin kasi, yung sustainability, maa-attain lang natin yon. Pag meron tayong maayos na mekanismo para yung mga nakatira doon, yung mga taong mangangalaga ay binibigyan natin ng boses. Ngayon kasi...
VP, yun ang sinasabi madalas, no? I spoke to some people who are involved in the mining industry. And they would also always say na pinangangalagaan naman ng mga displaced na IPs, nagbibigay kami ng trabaho, we make sure that we don't pollute the rivers. Nakabaligtaran dahil ito ang reklamo ng mga environmental defenders.
Saka ito kasi, Tito Boy, na naaabuso. Alam mo, merong requirement sa batas na konsultasyon. Pero yung...
So basically she's saying that she is for sustainable mining as long as it's controlled.
Konsultasyon kadalasan na ginagawa. Ito reklamo to ng mga tao on the ground na lagi nating nakakausap. Ang kanilang reklamo ay parang masyadong superficial yung consultation na ginagawa. At hindi natin to ipapayag. Kaya nga sinasabi ko, ang pinakamahalaga yung mekanismo. Hindi pwede na basta ka lang nagpa-meeting, ayun na. Sisiguraduhin natin.
Yeah, so see, she really wants it to be controlled. She does not want things to be done lightly.
Na yung tunay na boses ng mga mamamayan, pinapakinggan. Dahil
How do you do that? Yung tunay na konsultasyon ay yung sinasabi.
Kailangan talaga isa batas. When I was in Congress, I was the principal author of the Empowerment Bill. Yung Empowerment Bill, nilalayon niya, magiging mandatory. Hindi lang sa mga local government units, pero sa lahat ng mga government agencies na magkaroon talaga ng mga people's councils. Na gustong sabihin ito, hindi lang na basta ka magpapamiting. Pero yung representation sa people's councils, represented yung mga mahalagang stakeholders, and meron silang voting rights. Kabahagi sila mula sa step 1. Mula sa planning, hanggang sa implementation, hanggang sa monitoring, hanggang sa evaluation.
So ang kapangyarihan ay manggagaling doon sa People's Council na iyon.
Dapat kasi sila yung apektado eh.
Na ikukonsulta at ikukonsulta ng gobyerno at saka ng mga tao na involved sa mining industry.
Saka i-empower talaga sila. Ang pag sinabi kong i-empower sila, kailangan bago sila nagdidesisyon, sisiguraduhin natin na naiintindihan nila.
But you realize, VP, that meron din mga contributions ang mining industry.
Totoo.
Sa ekonomiya.
And meron talagang mga responsible na mga mining companies. Pero ang sinasabi ko...
Let's talk about the pandemic. Sa kasalukuyan po.
Man, I find it so harsh, man. It's like you cannot say anything else after the timer, ends. Yeesh.
VP Leni, dalawang bagay ang alam natin. Una, pinadapa tayo ng pandemyang ito. More than 3 million na ang confirmed cases dito sa ating bansa ayon sa Department of Health. Sa buong mundo naman, sabi ng John Hopkins COVID-19 dashboard ay 300 million people na. Higit 50 million deaths na ang naitala sa Pilipinas and more than 5 million naman ang buong mundo. Maraming mga Pilipino ang nawala ng trabaho, kabuhayan, at mga mahal sa buhay. Marami ang mga nasirang relasyon, mga nasirang plano at pangarap. Yan, alam natin yan. Alam natin yung viciousness noong virus. Pangalawa, alam din natin na ang virus na ito ay napaka-unpredictable. Dito sa 2 taon, maraming variants na ang ating naririnig. Alpha, Beta, Gamma, Delta, Delta Plus, Omicron. The virus acquires genetic changes. It's another way of saying nag-mutate ang virus na ito. Paano, kailan, at kung ano ang susunod, nobody knows. Ang tanong, VP Leni, given the unpredictability and the viciousness of this virus, kung ikaw halimbawa ang nakaupong presidente, ano ang programa mo sa COVID-19?
Ngayong Vice President pa lang ako, Boy, nag-launch na kami ng COVID Response Initiatives. And ngayon, yung ginawa namin, ang pinakasadya lang talaga is to fill in the gaps. Hindi naman namin tumanda to, pero hindi pwede kasi nanonood lang kami. So we shifted from one initiative to another. Nag-umpisa kami sa pag-provide ng PPE sets, sinundan namin ang shuttle buses for frontliners, sumunod yung mga dormitories, hanggang tinulungan na namin yung mga community marts, etc., etc. So it was a series of so many programs. Pero we learned a lot of lessons from that. Ano yung number 1 lesson? Yung number 1 lesson, kailangan talaga yung sense of urgency. Kailangan yung sense of urgency sa pag-respond kasi every minute, every second counts. Yung sa amin, Tito Boy, yung aming naramdaman dito sa pag-respond dito, hindi pwedeng gagalaw ka lang pag perpekto mo na yung plano. Hindi eh. Ang kailangan nandiyan na, gumalaw ka na. Pag ako naging Pangulo, i-expand ko yon. Pero meron na kasi akong benefit ng science, meron na akong benefit ng lessons from other countries. Alam natin kung sino mga bansa yung nag-perform better than the others. So, dapat matuto na tayo doon. Kami, we have been following all the examples of so many countries na naging maayos yung overall COVID response. And madali na para sa atin kasi meron na eh. Meron na tayong mga modelo. Susundan na lang natin. Pero ang sisiguraduhin ko lang, I will be on top of everything. Pag sinabi kong on top of everything, yung day-to-day na COVID response, ako mismo yung tututok. Sisiguraduhin ko na whole of government, all the agencies, all the local government units are working harmoniously. Kasi yun yung tingin kong naging kakulangan ngayon. Lahat naman may ginagawa, pero kulang ng konduktor. Kaya ang desisyon ng isang opisina, iba yung ginagawa ng iba, parang sobrang mixed yung messaging, sobrang mixed. Nakita natin na magsasabi ng ganitong desisyon, the following day, babawiin, yun yung nakakadagdag sa yung anxiety ng tao.
Okay, you raised 2 points. I'm sorry, VP Leni. Una, very, very important points. Number 1, marami kang mga leksyon na natutunan, mga modelo mula sa ibang bansa. Can you be more specific kung anong mga leksyon, anong mga modelo ang ating pinag-uusapan?
Nung iba-iba yun, Tito Boy. Kasi 2020, ano yung natutunan natin? Yung natutunan natin yung 2020, yung meron talagang mga pillars para sugpuin mo yun. Ano yung pillars? Yung testing, tracing, di ba? Saka yung management ng disease. Doon pa lang, nagkulang na tayo. Ini-insist pa din natin na hindi tayo magte-test ng marami kasi hindi naman kailangan. Yung contact tracing, 2 years after the pandemic, hindi pa din tayo nakaka-take off ng maayos. Yung mga hospitals natin, 2 years into the pandemic, kulang pa din tayo ng health workers. So sa akin, kailangan itong mga basic premises na to, alam na natin na ito yung pillars na kinakailangan natin
gawin. Do you do testing? Do you do all these things that you're talking about before? Because you don't know what's going to happen. Hindi mo talaga alam kung kailan ang susunod na variant. Do you do this even when there is no surge?
Depende. Kami talaga ginagawa namin siya kahit nung walang surge. Merong mga communities, kasi kami, Boy, meron kaming tracking system sa opisina na tinatrack namin yung lahat ng mga local government units, saan ba mataas yung cases, saan yung ganito, and gusto namin makatulong sa pag-contain. So kahit walang surge, pag nakikita namin na merong lugar na medyo mataas yung cases, nag-o-offer kami.
I only raise that point dahil hindi ka pwedeng mabigla dahil alam natin na unpredictable talaga
Yes.
I mean, we know that behavior of the virus. And then you raised another point. I will be on top, of the program, of the management of this virus. Some of your critics may say, isn't that a bit too much of micromanagement and you might be missing on a lot of things dahil nandun ka masyado sa detalye?
Boy, pag panahon ng crisis,
Wow, I am loving Boy Abunda in this interview because he said exactly what I was thinking, So far, the way Leni Robredo is answering, she is basically talking a lot about how she can manage issues in the office. She talks a lot about the micro, but not enough about the macro vision. I feel like in her mind, if she can manage to manage properly the people that she works with, people in the government, then she'll be able to fix a lot of things. But I feel like she lacks a sense of persuasion. I don't feel persuaded. I don't feel convinced when I hear her talk. I do appreciate the fact that she expresses herself mostly in Filipino. I think that's very important because you are running to be the president of the Philippines. And the first language is Filipino, right? The second is English. So it's also important to be fluent in English. But I think the Filipinos, the people, will appreciate it even more if you express yourself in Filipino. It just makes more sense to me. So I have to give her the point in that department compared to Bongbong Marcos, who tends to express himself more in English, although I'm pretty sure that his Tagalog or Filipino is very good as well, And personally, I prefer when he speaks in English because I'm a foreigner who understands English. But, this is the elections for the country of the Philippines. So I honestly believe and think that the president or the soon-to-become president should speak more in Filipinos, should address Filipinos in their own language.
kailangan mong mag-micromanage. Kasi buhay ng tao yung nakataya. Ako, since March of 2020, araw-araw, I am on top of all the COVID response operations of the office. At hindi ako namili talaga ng trabaho. Nung kulang kami ng mga tao sa Bayanihan i-konsulta, ako mismo nagjo-duty. Ang nagjo-duty ako, yung mga unholy hours, para makatulog naman yung aming mga volunteers. Pag swab cab namin, kahit marami nagpa-positive, nandyan ako. Pag vaccine.
Let's talk about poverty. VP, tuwing eleksyon, maraming eleksyon. Madalas ang taong bayan, nakikita namin yung mga slogans, yung mga messages ng iba't ibang kandidato. Babalikan ko lamang ang ilan na may kinalaman sa poverty. Si President Gloria, naalala ko yung pagkain sa bawat hapagkainan. President Erap para sa mahirap.
Erap, does that mean like donations for the poor?
President Aquino, kung walang kurap, walang mahirap. So, starring talaga ang mahirap pag eleksyon, sabi nga ng isang kaibigan. According to Philippine Statistics Authority, PSA, noong October 2001, 3.27 million ang walang trabaho. October 2010, 2.79 million ang walang trabaho. October 2016, 2 million ang walang trabaho. Samantala, October 2021 po, 3.5 million ang walang trabaho.
Oh my God. See, so, it was going down, right? From 2006 to 2016, the number was going down. So that was steady and that was good, right? But the surge in 2022 is insane, but that's probably also because, I think it's because of the pandemic.
Ayon naman po sa SWS, Social Weather Stations, ang ibig sabihin po nito, perception po ito. Okay? Ang ating mga kababayan na nagugutom in percentile, in percentages, take into consideration yung fluctuation ng ating population. Third quarter of 2001, 9.3%. Third quarter of 2010, 15.9%. Third quarter of 2016, 10.6%. September of 2021, nung nakaraang taon po, 10% or around 2.5 million Filipinos ang nagugutom. Ito po ang aking tanong. Sa kasalukuyan, according to PSA, meron tayong 3.5 million Filipinos na walang trabaho, jobless. 2.5 million na mga kababayan natin na nagugutom. You're applying to be president of this country. With these urgent problems of joblessness and hunger, ano po ang inyong gagawin?
Actually, Boy, naglabas na kami ng Kabuhayan para sa Lahat program. Ni-roll out namin ito noong December, last month. Marami siyang components, pero bigyan mo lang akong pagkakataon na mag-run down doon. Ang pinakauna, ang aming paniniwala, kailangan talagang maibalik ang tiwala sa pamahalaan. Yun yung number one. Pag sinabi natin, kailangan ibalik ang tiwala sa pamahalaan, kasi ito yung crucial element para yung business confidence sa gobyerno ay bumalik.
See, that's the issue. The way she answers, she does not give you answers that give me... Like, when I hear her answers, I don't have necessarily a lot of faith in what she has to say because, again, she is answering in a micro way. You know, she's, again, going deep into the government and what she has to do inside of the government. But if she wants to persuade and convince people, she needs to speak in terms that everybody can understand, you know, and speak a little bit in macro instead of micro. These, like, her answers are legit, but these are not the answers I believe that you have to speak during interviews like this that a lot of people will be seeing. I honestly think you should keep these talks for other maybe debates or interviews. I don't know, but I just don't feel like she is convincing me with these answers.
Pag maraming investments, maraming trabaho. Paano natin ibabalik yung tiwala sa pamahalaan? Kailangan ang gobyerno tapat. Kailangan yung gobyerno maaasahan. Kailangan yung gobyerno hindi kurakot. Kailangan yung gobyerno transparent saka accountable. Yun yung number one. Yung number two, nasa Kabuhayan para sa Lahat program, kailangan natin tutukan yung mga industries na meron tayong opportunities dito. Ito yung mga local industries. Classify namin ito, Boy, into three.
Okay.
Yung pinakauna, blue industries. Ang blue industries, maritime, saka fisheries. Kasi ito, archipelago yung Pilipinas. Yung lahat na binubuhos natin para sa mga kalupaan, pero mas marami yung ating katubigan. So yung opportunities nandun. Yung green economy, agriculture, saka yung mga climate jobs, saka manufacturing. Kasi yung manufacturing is an opportunity. Yung manufacturing, ito magbibigay ng jobs. Yung pangatlo, ang tawag namin doon, gold industries, at ito yung tech. Ito yung tech, saka yung digital industries. Kasi tingin namin, at tingin ng aming team, ang laki ng opportunity nito, at ito na yung future. So sa akin, dapat yung pamahalaan mag-invest dito. Ito yung pag-invest sa mga local industries. Yung pangatlo, kailangan talaga nating tulungan yung mga maliliit na mga negosyante. Kasi ngayong pandemic, sila talaga yung dapang-dapa. Alam natin na napakalaking percentage ng mga negosyante sa atin, mga maliliit. At sila yung nag-generate ng mga maraming trabaho para sa atin. So ako, ang proposal ko doon, dapat sana na number one, magbigay na ng conditional na stimulus grant para sa mga maliliit na negosyante. Yung condition nun para wag siyang magtanggal ng mga empleyado, tulungan siya ng pamahalaan na magkaroon ng kapital para mabuhay ulit yung kanyang negosyo. Yun yung number one. Yung number two, kailangan access sa capital kahit mga low interest loans para dun sa mga negosyo na meron namang pambayad sa loans, kailangan niya lang ng access para mabuhay niya ulit. Ang number three, kailangan talaga yung access sa, hindi lang access sa capital, pero access sa market. And sinubukan na namin ito many times over. Halimbawa, yung ating mga farmers, kailangan gobyerno na yung bumibili ng mga produkto niya. Kasi yung gobyerno naman, kailangan niya ng pagkain para ipapamigay sa tao. Gobyerno yung pinakamalaking opportunity para sa mga maliliit natin na negosyante na makabangon ulit.
VP Leni, urgent yung gutom. It's something that's immediate. Walang makain. Ngayon, we're talking about people who 2.5 million Filipinos are hungry. So, napakinggan ko yung diskurso,
So basically, he's trying to ask her, what can you do right now in the short term versus in the long term? Because I think he felt like her answer was providing solutions for the long term.
solusyon, di ba? Naiintindihan ko yun. Pero gaano kabilis ang resulta nun?
Hindi niya mapapawi yung gutom ngayon.
Okay.
So kinakailangan...
So meron ka ba doon sa iyong programa na may
There you go,
short-term, long-term
Yes.
solution?
Actually, yung trabaho, both short and long term yun,
Okay.
boy. Pero yung ngayon, yung mga hindi nakakapasok kasi nagkasakit, o hindi nakakapasok kasi nagsara yung mga opisina.
What do you do to that?
Sa amin, boy, nagbibigay kami ng mga ayuda, pero dapat kasi mas mekanismo again eh. Mas mekanismo. Yung number one na pinopropose namin dito, maliban sa ayuda, pag sinabing ayuda, sinisiguro mo may pagkain araw-araw. Pero maliban doon, kailangan sana meron tayong unemployment insurance. Para yung mga nawawala ng trabaho na hindi naman nila kasalanan, at least may safety net
Anong
man lang sila.
pagkakaiba, VP, ng ayuda at saka ng dole-out?
Actually, ang ayuda, boy, is dole out. Pero ito kasi, crisis situation ito eh. Parang halimbawa, binagyo yung lugar na to. Walang kuryente, walang tubig, wala
So it's
silang
an immediate
makain.
solution to
Yes.
the problem.
Pero it's short term. Ang tao, mas maa-appreciate niya kung maliban sa ayuda, bigyan mo siya ng pagkakataon makapagtrabaho. Kasi mas long term yun para sa kanya.
Okay. Let's now go to migrants, overseas Filipino workers. As of September 2019, ang estimate po ay 2.2 million OFWs worldwide, according to the Philippine Statistics Authority again. 96.8% po nito ay may mga kontrata.
Yes.
Ang natitira po ay ito yung mga walang kontrata. Sa remittances naman po, dahil napapag-usapan natin ito madalas, ang mga bagong bayani na ang nagbubuhay ng ating ekonomiya ay ang OFWs, bahagya, I'm not saying totally, ay $28.9 billion noong 2018, $30.1 billion noong 2019, $29.9 billion noong 2020, at $25.9 billion as of October 2021. Noong 2018 po, remittances sent by OFWs accounted for 11% of the total GDP of the country. Sa kabilang dako naman ito, so merong napakalaki ng contribution, napakalaki ng pera po na kanilang ipinapadala dito sa Pilipinas. Sa kabilang dako po, may tinatawag na social cost. Ito yung sinasabi ng mga experts na unquantifiable.
Yes.
And that contributes to the destruction of the Filipino family.
Yes.
Ang aking tanong, VP Leni, how do you balance the economic contributions of the OFWs and the unquantifiable social cost of migration that leads to the destruction of the Filipino family?
Ako again, boy, i-segment ko yung aking sagot doon. Yung number one, dapat ang overarching principle natin, yung mga kababayan natin, magtatrabaho sila abroad kasi yun yung gusto nila. Ang gusto ko sabihin, it is by choice and not by necessity. Ang problema kasi ngayon, kahit ayaw naman nilang iwan yung mga pamilya nila, wala silang choice. Kasi walang available na trabaho dito. So, paano yan mangyayari? Kailangan ayusin natin yung economy natin. Para yung mga kababayan natin na umalis, nalulungkot na sa mga pamilya nila, gustong bumalik, may babalikan. Kasi minsan, gusto naman nilang bumalik, hindi sila makabalik.
I feel like this question is very close to the question about poverty and joblessness, right? Because the way she's answering it is that she wants Filipinos who work abroad, that they would look to work abroad because they want to, but not because they have to, meaning because of joblessness in the Philippines. So I feel like these two questions are very very tight together, very close together.
Balik kasi wala silang babalikan. Halimbawa, merong mga OFWs na nag-retire na abroad, gusto nang dito mag-retire pero hindi nila maiwan yung kanilang mga tinatrabahuhan na bansa because of healthcare. Dahil hindi natin ma-offer sa kanila, yung na-offer sa kanila nung kanilang yung kanilang bansang pinagtrabahuhan, yun yung number one. So kailangan ayusin natin.
Okay.
Ayusin natin para hindi sila napipilitan. Pero yung number two, yung mga umaalis at nag-a-abroad, dapat ay binibigyan natin sila ng pagkakataon na mas maganda yung mga trabahong makukuha nila. Ang example lang nito, boy, ang dami sa atin mga seafarers. Ang dami
Seafarers? What is that? Seafarers?
sa atin mga seafarers. Pero pag tiningnan mo, dun sa mga seafarers na umaalis,
Seafarers.
kaunting percentage lang sa kanila yung opisyal. Kaunting percentage ng opisyal, pag tiningnan mo yung sweldo ng opisyal sa hindi opisyal, ang layo. So, pero ang gobyerno, meron siyang capacity na mag-provide ng programa para yung mga nag-aambisyon maging seafarers abroad, pupunta sila, meron cadetship program para pwede silang maging opisyal. Unang-una, mas mataas yung sweldo nila. Pangalawa, mas mataas yung remittances. Di ba? Pareho din yan, yung mga domestic workers, yung mga ibang mga nagtatrabaho na paminsan pupunta doon, underemployed. Mga teachers, pero pupunta doon, mag-aalaga ng bata.
Mga doktor who choose to be
Diba?
nurses. Pero, VP, pupuntahan ko yung dalawang points. Because,
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Imagine a Filipino doctor that chooses to work abroad, but like his diploma is not recognized, where he decided to immigrate, and thus he has to he has to be demoted to a nurse. That's sad, man. But it doesn't happen to just Filipinos. It happens to a lot of countries out there because usually their diplomas are just not recognized in the country where they immigrated to,
you discussed about a situation where sana dumating yung panahon na choice nila mag-abroad, hindi yung napipilitan. But that's not real today. That's not real today. Let's talk about the reality today na kinakailangan, I just wanted to raise some points, kinakailangan magtrabaho abroad para
Yep, that's true. It's not real today. Most Filipinos that I talked to and mentioned the fact that they are abroad, they did not tell me that they traveled abroad because they wanted to, but because they had to. Because, their money goes back to their, family in the Philippines. It's crazy how many Filipinos don't actually get to enjoy their own wealth, if you will. The money that they make. No, most of it goes back to the Philippines, which is heartbreaking.
masustain ang
Mabuhay niya
pamilya,
yung pamilya
mabuhay ang pamilya dito. There's another layer to this discussion. For lack of a better term, we also have dramatized, the OFWs. And I don't mean to demean the contributions of the OFWs. Na para bagang bagong bayani, which denies, the fact that they are there, hirap na hirap ang sitwasyon, etc. So, my question is, okay, let's be real. Kailangan ng trabaho. Napipilitan magtrabaho. What do you do?
Ito nga, boy, ito yung first part ng sagot, di ba? Kasi ito mas long term, gagawan mo talaga ng programa. Pero yung retraining, skills training, pwede na natin yung gawin ngayon. Pero yung pangatlo, sa Naga, meron na kaming sinimulan na Migrant Resource Office. Ito, ang attempt nito ay mabawasan yung social cost.
Okay.
Meaning to say, merong pagkakataon na binibigay sa mga families na naiiwan na pinapaintindi sa kanila anong klase yung trabaho, yung anytime na gusto nila makontak yung kanilang mga pamilya, yung perang ipapadala sa kanila, meron may mga financial literacy programs. So, buong programa.
Pero VP, to be very extreme about it, do you look forward to a day when, I'm not even talking about choices at napilitan, na walang OFW?
Parang imposible yun.
Imposible yun.
Imposible yun.
Oo.
Kasi meron naman talaga mga Pilipino na hindi naman kailangan mag-abroad, pero gusto nila.
But you realize also the cost.
Yes, pero ito kasi, ako kasi pag ginusto mo, Yung preparation doon
Okay.
sa social cause, masanda ka.
Okay.
Pero iba kasi, iba pag napilitan ka lang. Iba pag napilitan ka lang. Halimbawa, marami yung iiwanan yung mga anak nila na bagong panganak o mga baby pa. Pero iiwan nila, mag-aalaga sila ng ibang bata kasi kailangan eh.
At pagbalik
Paano
nila-
That's honestly heartbreaking to me, man. It's crazy. It's crazy to think that there are some Filipino mothers, for example, that choose to leave their own children. Basically, they don't raise their own children because they have to work abroad and take care of other people's children so that they can send that money that they've earned back to their families and their children. But those children, their children, are being raised by other people. I mean, whether it be their husband, I don't know, their family members like sisters, or you know what I'm saying? It's just so heartbreaking to me, man.
Hindi na sila kilala ng kanilang
Hindi na
mga
sila
anak.
kakilala.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's unquantifiable.
That's
And
crazy.
nung nag-aabogado ako, boy, ang daming mga naghihiwalay ng mga
And that's, for me, cries, immigrating, not by choice, but by necessity. I mean, who in their right mind would prefer to leave their kids, to raise other people's kids? No one. If you didn't have to leave by necessity, you wouldn't do it. So it's definitely a problem in the Philippines.
asawa. Because of the long separation.
Let's talk about social media. Ito naman, pag-usapan natin ang internet
Yeah,
at ang
this
social
question.
media. Pero dito tayo, VP Leni, pumunta. I want to talk about pornography. 2021 Year in Review Report ng Pornhub. Isang online adult video streaming website sa internet. Sabi dito, ang mga Pinoy spend 11 minutes 30 seconds watching porn, making the Philippines top 1 na lampasan ho na
Really? Okay, so I'm a little confused because I was told that in the Philippines you don't have access to porn websites and stuff like that. Like it was managed by the government. Like they did not allow you to watch stuff like that. So I'm surprised that he's mentioning that Filipinos actually have access to pornography and Pornhub and stuff like that. So I'm a little confused. Damn, you guys outranked Japan and France. That's
natin dito ang Japan at ang France. Some of the known social media
Filipinos are horny, boy.
sites, apps, ang Twitter ho ngayon, medyo nagiging source na rin ng porn, Snapchat, and may mga Facebook groups na are being used as alternative porn site. Si Billie Eilish is an American Grammy Award-winning songwriter, singer, 11 years old. She got exposed to porn, she got addicted, she indulged in sex, multiple partners, and yun ang naging standard. Akala niya violent ang sex, and in her words, porn destroyed her brain. She felt devastated. She had nightmares, sleep paralysis. My mental health, ika niya, was damaged. Last December, she turned 20, si Billie Eilish. Kilala to ng mga bata. And she's now on the road to recovery. Tanong, nalaman at na-confirm mo, hypothetical ito, VP Leni, nalaman at na-confirm mo na ang iyong anak ay addicted to cyber porn. Bilang magulang, ano ang gagawin mo? At bilang presidente, again, because you're applying for the highest position of the land, bilang presidente, paano ito makakaapekto sa iyong pulisiya on the welfare and protection of children?
Ako number one bilang nanay. Bilang nanay, ang pinaka-priority ko, gumaling yung anak ko. Kasi sakit siya eh. Gumaling yung anak ko, sisiguraduhin ko na tatanda siya na hindi niya dala-dala yung trauma galing doon sa pinagdaanan niya. Pero bilang presidente, ang dami kong pwedeng gawin. Yung isang wala sa atin ngayon, boy, wala tayong batas na nagsisik to make accountable etong mga social media sites. Ang gusto kong sabihin, kung anong ilalabas sa Facebook, kung anong ilalabas sa Twitter, kung anong ilalabas sa YouTube, whether porn yan, whether fake news, wala tayong control. So para sa akin, kailangan magkaroon tayo ng batas. Kinicriminalize natin. Pinipinalize natin yung mga social media sites for them to be accountable and to be responsible. Na hindi dapat to accessible sa mga tao na wala pa siyang kahandaan mag-process. And in this case, yung example mo, mga bata na nagiging addicted to that because it's accessible. So dapat maging accountable, dapat maging responsible yung mga social media sites. Sisiguraduhin nila na yung content accessible lang sa mga tao na kayang ma-digest yung content na yun.
Pero may responsibility dito ang magulang.
Merong responsibility ang magulang. Kaya nga,
in the discussion about access to the sites.
kaya nga ako, boy, ang paniniwala ko talaga, lahat, hindi lang dito sa isyong ito, pero ang paniniwala ko talaga sa lahat na pinaka-susi para maganda yung operationalization saka implementation ng mga policy, lagi talaga siyang pinagtutulungan ng mga community.
Okay, I get that. Yung sinasabi niyo pong control, isn't that censorship?
Hindi yung censure, hindi
I mean, you're talking about control, di ba? You're talking about control. Isn't that...
Pero yung sa akin, hindi control pero ginagawa mo silang accountable. Na dapat sila ay sinisiguro nila na yung mga...
Well, yeah, I mean, it is censorship. I mean, censorship is kind of mandatory if you are not over 18. You know, like the parents are allowed to, control their kids' environment, and prevent them from having access to these kinds of websites and stuff like that. But what parents and I think also teachers can do is actually openly talk about this stuff, and not make the kids feel ashamed, when they have to, when they have questions about these kind of stuff, and really be honest with them and tell them what, exposition to porn and stuff like that, like the effect that it can have on a child's, mental health. So yeah. And like her first answer about making those websites and apps and companies accountable, that's not in their hands. Like, who are they? Like they can't. I mean, these companies are not even from the Philippines, so that's not even, it's not a possibility, really.
Mga lalabas sa kanilang social media platform ay ang makaka-access nun yung mga tao na tama na yung mental, saka psychological, saka
Can that be legislated?
Yes, it
I
can.
mean, knowing...
Actually, ito yung pinaglalaban ngayon ni Maria Ressa. Ito yung content na pinaglalaban niya after she won, even before she won the Nobel Peace Prize, na yung social media platforms have been abused in many varied ways already. In many countries.
But you have to address the abuses because napakarami rin ng magandang nagawa ng social media at ng internet.
Kaya nga abuse siya kasi dapat sana, di ba dapat sana yung social media maganda yung naidulot niya sa atin kasi bigla na lang that the world has become so small na everything is in our grasp. Pero dapat kasi inaayos natin yung accountability ng mga...
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, you don't have that power, Like, these companies are not from the Philippines. How can you ask them, to I don't know, to control their content if they're not... The Philippine laws don't apply to those companies who are, located, I don't know, in the US and Europe and stuff like that. So, I don't know. It's not something that you can do unless the entire world attacks them and asks them to change their rules and stuff like that.
Tao, saka mga organisasyon, saka mga negosyo na merong control sa content na nilalabas nila. Ang gusto ko sabihin,
That's why yung control sa content, to me, it's a bit, it's bordering on, doesn't it border on censorship?
pero sa Sa akin kasi, boy,
Doesn't that infringe into the freedom of...
it depends on how the
speech?
law will be passed.
Yeah.
What the version of the law will be passed.
How would it be in your administration?
Pero sa akin, boy, mas sisiguraduhin ko na halimbawa, merong porn sa aking site, hindi siya accessible sa mga bata. So,
Yeah, but these websites, the only thing that they can do is basically when you apply or sign in, to become a member of the app or the website or whatever, is, hey, are you over 18? Even a kid can say, yeah, I'm over 18, and that's it. That first wall is already passed. So you can find ways around these things. People are not stupid. Like, a kid can easily say, yeah, I'm over 18. Bam. And there you go. You have access to whatever you were looking for. It's not that easy to fix.
ako hindi ako digital person, pero I'm sure there should be a way. Kasi ngayon naman, meron na mga apps, di ba? Meron na ngayon mga apps na yung mga magulang can control what their children can access. So it should be a collaboration between the social media platforms, the families, schools, pati yung pamahalaan. So it is very doable.
It's doable within a certain period of time. Pero
I don't know,
ngayon, pag
man.
tinignan mo kasi, VP, ang social media ecosystem, where would you start?
Saka hindi siya static.
Okay.
Di ba? Yung social media of 10 years ago is so different from the social media
today.
now. So dapat talaga, boy, yung batas ay hindi din static. Dapat sinasabayan niya yung demands of the time. Pero ang klaro dapat sa isip ng mga legislators na ang pinaka-primary purpose is the protection of the people.
I think the only way, the only way to do this, if you really want to diminish the access to porn for a country, is to actually ask, developers, people who know how to enter code, like coders, to basically make sure that the country of the Philippines does not have access to porn websites, right? But the thing is, people are not stupid, and they will use VPNs, for example, to go around that code. That's what VPNs do. They basically give you the access to internet via another country, So this is a very difficult thing to fix, unfortunately.
People.
Especially children.
Especially.
Let's now go to abortion. Rape-related abortion. Sabi ng pinsan, Philippine Safe Abortion Advocacy Network at Engender Rights Incorporated. Ito po yung mga data na ating nakuha. A Filipino
That's
woman
insane.
or girl is raped every 75 minutes.
That's insane.
About 1 in every 8 Filipino women who resorts to abortion is a rape survivor. 70 women induce abortion every hour. Complications from unsafe abortion is one of the 5 leading causes of maternal death and leading cause of hospitalization in our country. In 2012 alone, 610,000 Filipino women induced abortion. Over 100,000 women were hospitalized and 1,000 women died due to unsafe abortion complications. Since there is no access to safe abortion in the country, at least 3 women die every day from unsafe abortion complications. And based on statistics, the number of induced abortions increases proportionately with the increasing Philippine population, which means that the number will keep increasing if we don't act on it. Kasi nga, nagfa-fluctuate yung numbers. My question is it time to enact a law on abortion that would allow pregnant rape victims the choice of legal and safe abortion?
Ako, alam mo, I will be very honest with you, boy. This is a topic that I'm very conflicted about. Because of the data that you have mentioned. I was a member of an NGO na talagang tinutulak yung pag-decriminalize, at least pag-decriminalize ng abortion, para na iiwasan yung unsafe na mga ginagawa. Pero the reason why I'm so conflicted about it, kasi ako, my faith teaches me na bawal talaga yung magpatay. Ang ina-allow lang sa atin, boy, na parang yung legal abortion kung endangered yung life ng mother. Kung endangered yung life ng mother ay ina-allow in very rare instances. And I think that should continue. Pero having said that, kontra ako sa abortion. Pero sa akin, bukas akong pag-usapan yung decriminalization ng abortion. I would like to listen to more people about it.
I'm surprised because most women that I talk to about abortion are usually for it because their answer is, it's my body, I do whatever I want with it, and if my health is in danger, of course I will choose myself, you know. But I mean, I completely understand the women that don't, that prefer to think about their kid who isn't even born yet, and whether it's alive or not, I don't know. Think about, you know, it first rather than their own life and mental health. I don't know. It's a very complicated. Hey, I didn't see you there. Well, now that you're here, why don't you celebrate for making it this far into this video by subscribing to the channel, by turning on that notification bell so that you don't miss any future videos, and of course, and the most important thing, to like this video because it does help out the channel tremendously. And now, if you don't mind, I'm gonna go back to my business. Topic.
I've listened to so much already. Pero it is something that we should, mahirap yung balancing act eh. Kasi pag nakita natin yung ipinaglalaban ng mga sumusulong sa decriminalization ng abortion, meron naman silang dahilan. Kasi pag bawal kasi nagiging underground siya eh. And pag naging underground siya, mas unsafe. Di ba mas unsafe kasi dahil hindi mo pinapayag, marami yung nagre-resort sa mga practices na hindi talaga siya medically safe. So sa akin, while I'm open to discussing decriminalizing abortion, if you ask me now if I am for or against it, I'm against abortion.
Very clear.
Okay.
Very
Pero
clear
may
answer.
nasabi ka kanina na in certain instances, VP, na pag nasa danger ang buhay ng nanay,
It is allowed.
It is allowed. Can you expound on it?
Pag nasa danger kasi yung buhay ng nanay, ang practice talaga, boy, ang pinakauna, sinasave talaga yung nanay. And I think that should continue.
But doesn't that go against what the church says? Dahil ang church walang buts at walang ifs eh. Ang simbahan sinasabi, abortion, hindi.
Pero sa akin
Because
kasi,
you mentioned faith, VP.
Kaya nga sinasabi ko na contentious siya eh. Contentious siya kasi if you're involved in the day-to-day, like I was when I was still a practicing alternative lawyer, you come across so many victims of rape, you come across so many unsafe pregnancies.
Okay.
Lalo na, boy, kasi kadalasan yung biktima ng rape, mga minors.
That's insane.
And talagang pag minor nagbuntis ay talagang laging questionable yung safety nung nagbubuntis.
Dahil ang katawan ng minor ay hindi pang nanay pa.
Ano talaga? In fact, we're doing a program with UNDP on teenage pregnancies. And ako I would have to admit I'm conflicted. My faith tells me that abortion is not to be allowed.
Have you had discussions with priests?
Oh my god, man. This is so complex. Like, I personally don't know if I would like my president to be basically in a box, you know, kind of controlled by their faith. Because I think a president should always put the safety and health of their population before everything, before their religion, before everything. So it just bothers me a little bit, you know.
Yes,
With your counselors?
A lot of discussions already.
Okay,
And,
all right. So you've expressed your views that in as much as you are against abortion, you're conflicted and
I'm
you're
conflicted.
work in progress.
Totoo. Kaya nga
Bongbong Marcos I don't think that he said he was for abortion. I don't think so. But he did say clearly that it had to be done case by case. You know, if like a woman, her health was in danger, then yes, he was like for abortion. I think it was something like that. Like his answer was very clear. I mean, her answer is clear. She's conflicted. But then in conflict, there is uncertainty, right? So we really don't know where she stands towards this question, you know?
Sabi ko, boy, I'm open to more discussions about it. Kasi ako, ang paniniwala ko, masama siya. Pero yung realities kasi, and the lessons from other countries also, kaya ako, I know of a lot of friends from the NGO community who are really pushing for...
I don't get it. I don't want to be crude, but F morality. If a person is in danger, save the person. That's it. That's it's that easy, you know? What? Morality, faith, religion? It's so archaic way of thinking and functioning, and bro.
Decriminalization of
VP,
abortion.
meron nga mga kwento, isang doktor na nagbuntis dahil...
It's like the whole thing where Filipinos can't divorce. What? Forcing someone to live with another person forever, even though, you know, they don't like each other, hate each other, they will be miserable. It's so archaic, my gosh.
Dahil nirape siya nang nagpaaral sa kanya, may isang babae na may dwarfism, nabuntis, because unsafe din ang kanyang abortion. Maraming mga kwentong ganun. At saka kung babalikan natin yung statistika na may kinalaman sa mga bansa na dati, mga Katoliko, I mean the Catholic countries, Brazil, kung taga saan ang ating Santo Papa, at marami pang mga bayan ay bukas na. On certain conditions. Meron nga mga bayan na upon request of the woman, ay pwede ang abortion.
Doon naman ako, boy.
Hindi ka pwede doon?
Hindi ako pwede doon.
Because that's
Ako,
arbitrary.
klaro yun sa akin. Klaro yun sa akin. Kasi para sa akin,
Exactly. It is a responsibility, but in the case of rape, the woman did not choose that responsibility. So she should have at least the choice to get rid of that responsibility, no? Because it wasn't her choice in the first place.
yung pagbubuntis is a responsibility.
Pero hindi ba pagpapahalaga yan doon sa babae? Doon sa, that's women's rights, you know?
Totoo. And talaga yung women's advocates, women's rights advocates, boy, talagang merong mga discussion about this. Pero sa akin kasi, boy, napaka-klaro sa akin nun eh.
Let's talk about drugs. And i-quote ko lamang ang sinabi ni President Duterte. And I quote, I feel so bad about, all of these things. Kasi nalaman ko, paano ko makontrol in 3 to 6 months. This was a declaration, I think, early on or in the middle of his presidency. Ang mga general sa police nandyan, tapos yung mga Bureau of Customs na inaasahan ko, PI, nasa droga, how will I succeed in nasa droga? Alam ko na nagkamali talaga ako. Now, magtanong kayo, ang Pilipinas, are we or are we not a narcotics country? Yes, we are, sabi ng Presidente. Sabi ko, tama yung silang mga kritiko ko. Sabi mo, noong nagpresidente ka, 3 to 6 months. Hindi ko alam pagpasok ko. Davao lang kasi ako. So, ang template ko, Davao. May droga. Pero sabi ko, maglaro ka dun. Patay ka talaga. Give me another 6 months. That self-imposed time of 3 to 6 months, well, I did not realize how severe and how serious the problem of drug menace in this republic until I became president. My question, VP Leni, you are applying to be, the president of the country. Ito gusto ko malaman. How much do you know about illegal drugs in this country? At gaano kalala ito? Uulitin ko yung tanong ni Presidente. Are we not a narco country? Depende sa iyong kaalaman tungkol sa problema ng illegal drugs. Ano ang programa mo laban dito?
I was given the opportunity to be ICAD co-chair. Yung ICAD, yung Interagency Task Force, for 18 days.
Wow.
Pero those 18 days gave me enough opportunity
Insight.
to assess what was wrong with the anti-drug program. And at the end of the 18 days, naglabas kami ng comprehensive na assessment of what was wrong. And naglabas kami ng mga ano yung pakiramdam namin na dapat gawin. 5 points ito, boy. Yung pinakauna, how to maximize ICAD as the interagency task force. Ang daming punto nito, we don't have time.
Okay.
Pero ano ba, example lang doon. The reason why sobrang street level enforcement, yung anti-drug campaign, na dapat sana whole of government approach. Nakakatulong doon sa much emphasis on street level enforcement kasi yung chairman is PDEA. Para sa akin, dapat sana yung chairman ng ICAD should be DDB, the Dangerous Drugs Board. Kasi yung Dangerous Drugs Board is policy making. Pag DDB yung mag-chairman, mas ang chance na mas whole of government approach yung gagawin, mas malaki. So yun yung number 1. Yung number 2, pag tiningnan mo talaga yung ating datos, hindi siya kumpleto. In fact, when I was in ICAD, ongoing pa lang yung survey kung ilan ba talaga yung mga drug users. Natapos na yung survey after I was ICAD chair. Pero kahit meron na tayong datos na ganon, sobrang raw and sobrang basic, hindi nga natin alam kung ano yung mga nakuhuli, yung mga nagsusurrender.
VP, I'll let you continue, ha? Pero
Yes.
tama ka doon. Kasi kahit yung datos ng Dangerous Drugs Board, I did extensive research for this interview, ang kanilang basehan lamang ay yung mga facilities na non-government. So, kung titingnan mo, since 20 years ago, wala kang masyadong makukuha. Go ahead, please.
Ngayon nga, ang dami nating surrenderies, ang daming nahuli. Hindi nga natin alam ano na yung interventions na ginawa nila. Ang iba meron datos, ang iba wala. So, yung number 2, data. Yung number 3, pag tiningnan mo yung budget for the entire anti-drug program, a large bulk of the budget is on street enforcement.
Okay.
This is wrong in so many instances. Unang-una, alam natin na kahit patulan natin ng patulan yung mga street level na mga drug users o small-time drug pushers, kung hindi natin tinututukan yung constriction ng supply, tuloy-tuloy lang
Number 3 po
yun.
yan. Anong number 4 po?
Ang number 4, alisin na yung tokhang.
Okay. Number 5?
Ang number 5, dapat yung mga law enforcement agencies natin, itutok na yung kanilang energies sa supply constriction, yung mga drug pushers
Okay.
na.
To the best of your knowledge, Vice President Leni, are we a narco country?
No.
Why do you
The
say so?
drug problem is huge. And ako naniniwala na we have to pursue it with as much vigor. Pero there is a way of doing it.
As President of the Republic of the Philippines, can you give yourself a deadline? Can you solve the drug problem in 3, 6, 9, 12 months? Would you dare say it?
I won't. Pero ang commitment ko, boy, na we will be much better off after 6 years. Ako, ang drug problem, grabe. Kailangan natin ng mga legislation. Hindi nga natin mahiwalay yung user sa kapusher. Iba yung intervention doon. Dapat ma-institutionalize natin yung community-based na rehabilitation. Kasi doon sa mga habitual users na hindi naman mga addicted to it, kailangan community-based yun.
You know, my question started with actually, how much do you know? Gaano mo kakakilala ang isang drug dependent, halimbawa? Would you have an idea? Alam mo kung bakit na-addict ang isang tao? Because to me, it's an issue of what? Loneliness, happiness, broken families. It's a search for, it's a journey towards something. They talk about 4 to 6 hours kind of happiness, seizure, may mga peak, may mga follow-up, all kinds of drugs. How much do you know about drugs?
It is just like any other addiction which should be treated. Kaya para sa akin, ay yung mga users talaga, kailangan na itong tingnan natin from a science-based.
All I know about this is that the current still President Duterte had drastic measures when it came to fixing the issue of drugs in the Philippines. Some people complained about it, but from what I was told and from the feeling that I got from talking to Filipinos and stuff, is that they actually saw actual changes, in the Philippines. Like, he actually fixed this drug problem, or the majority of that problem, even though he was doing it in a drastic way. So he was actually doing a good thing, I guess. I don't know. I'm not sure. But I don't feel like, again, she did not convince me with her answers, unfortunately.
Okay. Let's talk about the Philippine debt. Utang. Here's the data from the Bureau of the Treasury. Nang matapos ang termino ni President Erap, ang utang ng Pilipinas ay 2.6 trillion pesos. Pagkatapos ni President Arroyo, ang umakyat na ito ng 5.1 trillion. Umabot sa 6.5 trillion pesos nang matapos ang termino ni President Aquino. As of end November 2021, ngayong administrasyong Duterte, total Philippine debt is at 11.93 trillion pesos. Naririnig ko ito.
Scary numbers.
Alam ko, naririnig ko natin ito. Hindi ka pinapanganak, hindi pa pinapanganak ang isang bata, nagbabayad ka na ng utang dahil sa laki ng utang ng Pilipinas. Ang aking tanong, kung papalarin ka, Vice President Leni, na manalo bilang presidente ng Pilipinas, paano mo babayaran ang utang ito?
Ako, number one, I will honor the commitments. Kasi nakasalala yung integrity ng bansa natin. Pero sisiguraduhin ko.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Sisiguraduhin ko na yung inutang natin, lalo in the last few years, na doon talaga tumambak yung utang natin, sisiguraduhin ko na yung perang inutang natin ay napunta siya sa mga bagay na ang return sa atin 1,000-fold. Kasi kung nag-umutang tayo, tapos yung return sa atin ay hindi naman malaki, bakit pa tayo umutang? So ako susuriin ko lahat na utang na ginawa, saan ba yung ginastos, sisiguraduhin ko na mapunta siya sa mga dapat papuntahan. Alam mo, boy, hindi naman masama umutang. Hindi masama ang umutang kung kinakailangan talaga ito. And as I have said, yung returns nito sa atin, mas malaki kesa dun sa inutang mo.
Okay.
Pero masama ang utang kung ito ay napunta sa korupsyon. Masama ang utang kung ito napunta sa mga bagay na hindi naman yung karamihan sa mga Pilipino ang makikinabang. So yun sa akin, having said that, pag tiningnan natin yung sinasabi natin na debt to GDP ratio, nagsimula tayo pre-pandemic if I am not mistaken, 44%. Yung debt to GDP ratio. Gusto sabihin nun, meron pa tayong elbow room umutang. So, dahil nangailangan tayo ng maraming pera during the pandemic, okay na umutang. Pero ngayon, pag tiningnan natin ang debt to GDP ratio natin, nasa 60% na. Wala na tayong elbow room. Ang gustong sabihin, more than 60%, delikado na tayo na baka hindi natin mabayaran. So ano yung dapat natin gawin? Una, ayusin natin na yung mga inutang natin mapunta sa mabuti. Ang number 2, kailangang mag-exert tayo ng maraming effort mapataas yung GDP natin. Mapapataas natin yung GDP natin. Babalik ako dun sa unang tinanong mo about jobs, about economy. Aayusin natin yung pamahalaan. Aayusin natin yung mga institusyon. Aayusin natin yung tiwala ng tao sa pamahalaan kasi yun lang yung paraan kung paano natin mapapalakas ulit yung ating GDP, ang ating growth rate. So, yun yung mga kailangan gawin.
You mentioned about corruption. There is an estimate that 20% of the national budget goes to corruption. Your comment?
Totoo yun. And sa akin, boy, it is not enough that I say na hindi ako magiging kurakot. Pero ang sasabihin ko lang, ang commitment ko pag ako presidente na sisigurado.
I do believe her when she says that she will not be corrupt and that she will focus, on fixing corruptions, because all her answers, most of her answers, should I say, focus on the micro, which is very close to the corruption aspect of the government. I feel like as VP, she has access to how the government works, inside, and she sees in the offices and the people and all that. So I think that's why her answers really focus on the micro rather than the macro. and she really puts emphasis on fixing corruption, which is good, but I don't feel like she is convincing enough with her answers.
Ko na ma-legislate yung mga mechanisms to prevent corruption.
Okay.
Ano yung mga mechanisms na yun? Making sure that all government procurement processes are transparent. Nag-file ako ng bill nito, full disclosure bill. Even without need of request from the people, yung lahat na ginagastos ng gobyerno, lahat na kontratang pinapasukan, dapat available yun to the
Okay.
public.
VP, paano mo babayaran? During your administration, would you do something like yung ginagawa na 20% of the national budget actually goes to debt management?
Kinakailangan.
Kailangan.
Okay,
Pero
that's
Kasi
good.
maganda raw tayong debtor. Yun ang aking lumalabas sa research. Hindi tayo masyadong pinauutang tayo dahil nagbabayad naman daw tayo.
oo. Ay,
Okay.
kung ako naalala ko kasi economic student
Right.
ako noong 1986 when the EDSA revolution happened, this is the same question. Kasi grabe yung utang ng Pilipinas, pero tayo, ginapang natin eh.
Yeah, but that was
natin
less than
yun.
30 billion.
Yes.
Yes.
Pero ginapang natin yon. Ginapang natin, pinakita natin na
And by the way, in general, I am very much against debt, because I was educated in a way, I was brought up to think that you do not spend money that you don't have, okay? So I was always told to put money aside just in case something terrible happens and you need money to fix it, And fortunately, nowadays we live in a society that functions with debt, credit cards. Credit cards are debts. And unfortunately, in a society like Canada here, if you don't have a credit card, you basically can't, rent a place. Because when you want to rent a place, the people that own the place will ask for your credit card history so that they can see your behavior and if you are able to repay your debt. You know what I mean? Which is insane. I was actually very upset when I had to, open an account with a bank and, get a credit card and all that. I hate it because I'm a responsible person that doesn't, spend money left and right. So I just hate the fact that I have to use money that I don't have and then repay it, later on with my own money. It's like, I don't like it. And a lot of people, are not educated when it comes to this. And so they find themselves in huge holes and in huge debts. It's terrible.
we will honor all our debts. Nakiusap tayo sa mga nagpautang sa atin, nabigyan tayo ng mas malaking elbow room para mabayaran natin. And yung ating standing sa international community, na-regain natin dahil we honored our commitments. So ngayon, obligado tayo to honor our commitments, pero hahabulin natin yung mga inutang natin. Saan ba yun napunta? Sisiguraduhin natin na napunta yun sa mabuti. Yung
And we make
GDP
sure that we don't get trapped. I know Uganda as a country denies this, and China, na isang araw gumising na lamang, di umano na ang isang airport ay pag-aari na ng China, ang karanasan ng Laos at ang karanasan ng Sri Lanka na may mga ports na pag-aari na ng pinagkakautangan nila.
Ayaw nating mangyari yun sa atin.
That's right. Oo, kaya ang sinasabi mo, dapat alam kung saan mapupunta ito. So, are you talking again about mechanisms? Are you talking about...
Yung sinasabi ko kanina, yung mechanisms against corruption yon, yung transparency, accountability.
But that can also apply
yes,
to debt
yes.
management.
Totoo. Kasi ito yung parati kong ine-explain sa mga kausap ko, boy. Na tayo mga tao, ang parati kong ang pinapakita dito, pag kumakanta tayo sa banyo, kahit sintonado, okay. Kasi walang nakikinig eh.
Too bad. I
Let's
like that
talk
analogy.
about the West Philippine Sea, VP Leni. Sa kasalukuyan, ang Spratly Islands. We're not claiming the whole of the Spratly Islands. To be very specific, ang kasama sa West Philippine Sea ay ang Kalayaan Islands Group. Okay? At merong mga isla po, Subi, Mischief Reefs, na natayuan na po ng mga hangars, underground storage, missile, shelters, radar, arrays, and other facilities ng China. Noong July 12, 2016, naglabas ng desisyon ang Permanent Court of Arbitration, PCA po, pabor sa Pilipinas sa issue ng West Philippine Sea. Pero despite this, tuloy pa rin ang China sa pagtatayo ng mga artificial islands at infrastructures sa mga teritoryong inaangkin nila na atin. Tuloy din tayo sa pagfa-file ng diplomatic protests. As of December of 2021, we have filed 241 protests, diplomatic protests. Sinagot naman tayo ng China 152 times.
Okay.
Tanong, dahil pag ikay pinalad na maging presidente, you will also be the chief architect of foreign policy. If all diplomatic efforts fail, bilang presidente, do you think, VP Leni, the Philippines is strong enough and prepared to fight a defensive war against China to protect our territorial sovereignty?
It should not.
Ako paniniwala ko.
I think what Bongbong Marcos said, like his answer was like, it should not come to that.
Boy, hindi natin kailangan dumating sa
There
punto
you
yun.
go. Same answer.
Meron tayong arbitral ruling na pabor sa atin. Ang pinakabuod ng arbitral ruling na yon, atin ang West Philippine Sea. Dahil atin yon, ipaglalaban natin yon. Pero having said that, ang laging punto, ang focus ng lahat ng efforts, ano yung makakabuti sa best interest ng Pilipino, ano yung makakabuti sa best interest ng bansa. Hindi lang ito sovereignty, boy, pero kabuhayan ito eh. Kabuhayan ng ating
Fisherman.
mga isda. Ngayon, dadating na tayo sa time na magkakaproblema tayo sa supply ng kuryente. Ito yung, di ba, yung resource na manggagaling dito sa West Philippine Sea. Parang ito yung sustainability natin as a country. So having said that, dapat pinaglalaban natin. Una, I am all for nurturing our very important relationship with China. Pero that relationship with China should be based on mutual respect and adherence to international law. Yun sa akin. Pangalawa, yung para sa akin, that decision of the arbitral court the arbitral court of tribunal, we should leverage that para yung coalition of nations na kasama natin sa pag-protect ng West Philippine Sea, mabuo natin. Kasi kung hindi tayo gumagalaw, bakit naman aasahan natin yung iba na gumalaw? So para sa akin, boy, napakalaking win yung ating pinanalunan nung 2016. Maraming mga bansa na naghihintay kung anong gagawin natin. Hindi tayo kailangan pumasok sa giyera. Ang kailangan lang natin, mag-enter tayo into alliances with traditional and emerging partners, allies, para tulungan tayo sa pag-protect ng West Philippine Sea.
Ang International Tribunal Court ay inimbitahan lamang because you can only invite a country.
Yes.
Ang nangyari, tinanggihan ng China, ayaw kong mag-participate. So, may mga kritiko na nagsasabing, paano kayo nanalo? Wala naman kayong kalaban doon sa arbitration. At ang isa pa dito ay, ang sinasabi ng China ay infirm ang inyong reklamo. At saka ang inyong mga allegations ay hindi totoo. Tapos, yun ang inyong kinakatigan. Ang gusto namin, bilateral talks.
Alam mo, boy, ang tagal ko nang sinasabi na sa issue ng West Philippine Sea, hindi magiging favorable sa Pilipinas ang bilateral talks. Kasi napakalaking bansa ng China. Yung sa akin, yung multilateral na pag-uusap, yung angkat natin ng kaso sa international arbitral court, ito talaga yung mechanism para meron tayo ng laban.
VP, so tuloy-tuloy lamang yun. Nagpo-protesta tayo, pero they continue to build facilities, halimbawa, doon sa ating West Philippine Sea. So, what happens? Kasi ang pinupunto ko ay, mali tayong bayan. And I am also against war. Pero huwag natin kalimutan, 79, there was that bloody border war between China and Vietnam. So, minsan walang kinalaman ang laki ng bansa. Kung ang pinaglalaban ay sovereignty. Pagkatao na natin to eh.
Pero sa akin na, boy, ang dami natin pwedeng gawin. Unang-una, kailangan pinapalakas natin yung ating defense. pinapalakas natin yung ating defense, naglalaan tayo ng pera para siguraduhin na yung kinakailangan natin para depensahan yung sarili natin ay kaya natin. Pero having said that again, sa atin yung kasi low-hanging fruit na to leverage that decision to form a coalition of nations. Para ang coalition of nations, mas malakas yun kaysa mag-isa lang tayo. And yun, kaya ko sinasabi low-hanging fruit, kasi willing yung mga bansa. Willing yung mga bansa.
What countries are you talking about? Countries are also involved in the South China Sea. Napakalaga po ng South China Sea na diskusyon dahil over $5 trillion trade ang dumadaan dyan sa
Totoo,
pathway na yun.
kaya nga, boy, kung nakikita mo ngayon, sino ba yung mga nag-i-interest? Aside from those directly affected. Kasi those directly affected nung mga...
We're talking about Brunei, Malaysia, Indonesia, Vietnam, yes.
Aside from that, kung nakikita mo ngayon, meron ng bagong coalition US, Australia.
Dahil ito yung may mga negosyo na dumadaan.
Oo. Pero ito, kaya nga, sila nga mismo hindi solo eh. Sila nga mismo ginagawa coalition.
Okay. I'd like to talk to you, VP Leni, about the constitutional provision on presidential qualifications. You are applying to be the President of the Republic of the Philippines. It's a complex, gargantuan job. Napakalaki ng trabaho. Why? Because a president is the head of government. You are the chief architect of foreign policy. You're commander-in-chief of the armed forces of the Philippines. You sign budgets, manage finance. You appoint justices recommended by the Judicial and Bar Council. You confer the National Artist Award, manage disasters, pandemic, fights, drug war, head of your political party,
You do
has power
everything.
over aliens, has power of eminent domain, practices general supervision over local governments, and pardon convicts, among others. Sinabi ko lamang po ito dahil napaka-complex ng trabaho bilang isang presidente. Samantala, ang ating saligang batas, Article 7, Section 2 of the 1987 Constitution, ay nagsasaad na ang qualifications para maging isang presidente ay ang mga sumusunod. Number 1, natural-born Filipino, registered voter, must be able to read and write, 40 years of age, on the day of the election, must have resided in the Philippines 10 years before the election. Ang aking tanong, VP Leni, napapanahon na ba para amyendahan ang probisyon na ito sa saligang batas? Oo, hindi, at bakit?
Ako po hindi. Actually, it's a very contentious provision. Marami tayong mga kilala na nagsasabi, bakit naman ganyan ka minimum yung requirements ng pagpapangulo? Pero ako kasi, binasa ko. Binasa ko yung mga diskusyon, yung mga debate nung framers ng 1987 Constitution. And yung pinakadahilan kung bakit ganito minimal yung qualifications na binibigay. Kasi gustong bigyan ng pagkakataon kahit yung hindi... Alam mo, dito kasi sa Pilipinas, ang iba hindi natatapos sa pag-aral dahil walang opportunity. So ayaw nating isara yung daan para sa mga gaya nila. So ito, while merong mga iba't ibang pagtingin tungkol dito, yung sa akin, naiintindihan ko kung bakit ganon yung mga requirements na nilagay. Na totoo, we would have wished na ang Pangulo is better prepared. Pero sa atin kasi parang we put a lot of premium on not closing the doors on people who have not been given the opportunity to have enjoyed the same privileges that others had. So yun yung dahilan. And ako, I agree with them. I agree with them. Pero yung sa akin lang, boy, siguro yung dapat pagtuunan natin ng pansin. Baguhin talaga yung klase ng politika na namumuo. Kasi over the years, yung klase talaga ng politika na namumuo, yun yung hindi nagbibigay ng malaking access dun sa mga wala. Dahil grabe yung patronage, dahil magastos masyado yung eleksyon. Pag ganito at ganito yung klase ng politikang namumuo, yung mga wala, hindi nabibigyan ng pagkakataon.
I hear you, VP Leni. Pero puntahan ko lamang yung sinabi mo ng premium na para makapag-participate ang marami. Because that's the spirit of the law. It's democratizing participation. Malay mo, si tatay ay potensyal na maging presidente ng
kahit hindi
Pilipinas.
nakapag-aral.
Pero may premium din tayo, VP Leni, na naalala ko to, ang diploma napakahalaga. Hindi display sa sala. Ang nanay, madalas sinasabi, nasaan na ang diploma mo?
Yun na yung pinagyayabang
Yun,
sa mga magulang.
oo, napakahalaga sa atin yun. Dahil kung yung premium ang pag-uusapan natin, bakit yung premium na yun wala doon sa mga kwalifikasyon? Senator Miriam Defensor Santiago raised that point, no? The late good senator. At sinabi niya, ang police officer nga hinahanapan na dapat graduate ka. Presidente pa kaya ng Pilipinas. Reason why I have to enumerate the specific jobs
Ako
of a president.
naiintindihan kita, boy.
Basically, he is bringing the point that doesn't really make sense that the requirements for a president are the ones that he stated. He feels like requirements should be a little more, a little more detailed. Basically, like if you want to be president, you also need to have like a university diploma and so on and so forth,
Pero alam mo, iba-iba kasi yung dahilan kung bakit hindi nakapagtapos. Kung hindi ka nakapagtapos, despite the many opportunities given to you, kasalanan mo.
Pero hindi naman natin kasi pwedeng,
pero, yun na
diba?
nga. Kaya hindi mo, dahil hindi mo pwedeng i-delineate, hindi mo pwedeng alisan ng pagkakataon yung mga hindi nakapagtapos dahil walang-wala.
It's not in the constitution of Turkey, for example. Pero meron silang batas ngayon na nagsasabing dapat may higher education. Pero we are aware, halimbawa, na sa Great Britain, kailangan membro ka ng parliament. MP ka bago ka maging prime minister.
Well, in that case, because she said she wants everyone to have the opportunity and the chance to become president, even if they did not have the money to study, right? Well, in that case, all the other jobs in the Philippines should have the same requirement then, right? If you want to become a policeman or something else, then you should not be punished for not having, the funds to go to school, to study, to become a policeman or something else, So it's a little bit contradictory.
Meron namang mga bansa, like France, ang isa sa mga requirements, may bank account ka. So, sinasabi ko lamang ito, VP, dahil as a country's president, you can initiate a move na para man amyendahan, maaari. I'm not saying that you should do it. Para lamang, dahil napaka-complex, napakahirap na ng buhay. 1987 is very different from 2001.
Totoo. Pero sa akin, boy, para sa akin, siguro down the road, pwede yung pag-usapan. Pero sa akin kasi, yung accessibility na makapag-participate, napakahalaga nun sa akin. Kahit wala kang pera, kahit hindi ka nakapagtapos, basta yung reason mo naman dahil sa kawalan.
But isn't that so ideal?
Yeah, no, I don't agree with her. If you apply this for other jobs, if you require a diploma for other jobs, then you should require a diploma for the most important job in a country, which is the presidency, Come on.
Ako, we can always dream for better things Ako para sa akin, mga kailangan natin yung i-legislate. Paano ba natin mapapabuti yung
They are basically selling a dream with this ideology. That's it. It's a dream. Oh, anyone can become president basically, but that's not true.
Political system. Such that yung political system natin, yung nagpo-produce ng mga kandidato na karapat-dapat.
Paano?
Ang daming kailangan gawin. Ang daming kailangan
Saan ka
gawin.
mag-uumpisa?
Alam mo, marami ng panukalang batas na final sa Congress over the years. Kahit nung nasa 16th Congress ako, na iba-iba yung mga pananaw kung paano siya aayusin. Pero ako, it's high time that we assemble all those who are proposing.
We're now done with our 10 questions. Ngayon naman po, punta na tayo doon sa personal issue-based question.
Okay.
Para po sa iyo. Sa isang talumpati before the Philippine Military Academy alumni in Malacanang, October 2018 po ito, President Duterte said, and I quote, Sa totoo lang, even her referring to you, even her public statements, I don't mean to offend the lady. She's very good. She's gentle. Pero mahina talaga siya.
Whoosh!
Mali-mali ang, medyo mahina ang, hindi mahina ang utak, pumasa ng baret. Mahina sa diskarte.
Damn!
Your reaction in 60 seconds and I don't follow up.
Yung diskarte, nakikita yon hindi sa salita, kundi sa gawa. Yung diskarte sa ordinaryo natin na pang-araw-araw na buhay. Ito yung ability mo na gumawa ng paraan. Ito yung ability mo magtrabaho ng maayos despite the difficulties. Ako, pinakita ko over the years, boy, na yung mga difficulties, mga roadblocks na tinapon sa aking daan, nalagpasan ko yung lahat dahil sa diskarte. Ako, in many, many instances, and I can cite a few, pag merong sakuna, merong krisis, sino ba yung unang nasa ground? Kami. Nung nagmarawi siege, maraming mga bagyo na dumaan, yung lindol, kami yun nandun. Nung in-offer sa akin yung ICAD, lahat na tao nakapaligid sa akin, sinasabi sa akin, huwag mo yung tanggapin kasi trap yan. Pero I felt that it was an opportunity for me to make a difference.
Maraming salamat. Now, we have a 60-second political fast talk. Let's begin. VP Leni, bakit hindi dapat iboto si Bongbong Marcos?
Number one, sinungaling.
Oh.
Pangalawa, in the difficult moments, hindi siya nagpapakita.
Si Isko, bakit hindi namin, si Mayor Isko, bakit hindi dapat namin iboto?
Hindi klaro yung paninindigan sa maraming bagay.
Yikes, man, that's not how you should answer. You should not. Basically, she's attacking. You don't attack your opponents. That's not smart. Oh my goodness. Okay.
Ping Lacson.
Maraming salita pero kulang sa on-the-ground na gawa.
VP Leni, bakit hindi namin dapat iboto si Manny Pacquiao, si Senator Manny Pacquiao?
Ito malungkot ito, boy, pero yung kabutihan ng loob kasi sa atin hindi sapat.
Bakit ikaw ang dapat namin iboto?
Ako, boy, pinakita nitong krisis na to and many other crises in the past na ang mga babaeng leader nagsha-shine during crisis. And ako, pinakita ko yan sa maraming trabaho namin dito sa OVP. Marami kaming mga krisis na nalagpasan with flying colors. Sabi ko nga, kung yung 2016 hanggang 2022...
Here is my final question, answerable also in 60 seconds. March 19, 2018, President Duterte withdrew the Philippines from the Rome Statute. When the withdrawal took effect, March 17 ito, 2019, ang Pilipinas po ay hindi na naging miyembro ng International Criminal Court. Ang withdrawal, nangyari po ito matapos i-anunsyo ng then ICC Prosecutor Fatu Bensouda ang pagbubukas ng preliminary examination sa Pilipinas with respect to the alleged crimes against humanity na nagaganap sa bansa dahil sa war on drugs. The President threatened to arrest the ICC prosecutor if she conducts activities here in the Philippines because we are no longer an ICC member and the ICC has no right to do any investigating. On November 10, 2021, the Philippine government requested a deferral of the ICC's investigation under the principle of complementarity, claiming that the country had begun its own investigation. Buhay ang ating justice system, in other words. The current ICC prosecutor, Karim Khan, in a document dated November 18, sinabi niya that they will temporarily suspend its investigation into the Philippines as it assesses the scope and effect of the government's request for deferral that cited the investigations being done by the Department of Justice. Human rights and victim advocacy groups are urging the ICC to proceed with the investigation to not further delay the justice for the victims. VP Leni, in 60 seconds, hypothetical ang aking tanong. Presidente ka ng Pilipinas, sumulat ang ICC prosecutor na si Karim Khan at nagre-request na siya at ang kanyang team ay pumunta dito sa Pilipinas para umpisahan na ang preliminary investigation sa di umano'y mga krimen laban sa sangkatauhan na may kinalaman sa war on drugs ni President Duterte. Ano po ang inyong gagawin? Papayagan niyo po ba ang team nila na pumunta dito sa Pilipinas? Oo, hindi, at bakit?
Papayagan ko. Magiging very open, magiging very transparent. Kung wala naman tinatago, hindi tayo kailangan matakot. Hustisya yung pinakabuod nito. Pero dapat balikan natin. In the first place, bakit tayo nag-member ng ICC? Ang ICC is a safety net sa mga gobyernong nag-a-abuse ng human rights ng kanilang mga tao, sa mga gobyerno nagko-commit ng very high crimes. Mga diplomats natin, mga Pilipino, bahagi nung pag-draft, nung pagbuo ng ICC dahil nakita natin na ito ay representative ng values natin bilang mga Pilipino na pinahahalagahan natin yung human rights. So sa akin, pag umupo ako, hindi ko lang papayagan na pumasok dito, pero ipopropose ko na bumalik yung ating membership sa ICC dahil napakahalaga ito to keep government in check.
Vice President Leni Robredo, maraming salamat.
Maraming salamat.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, boy.
All right, we are done. So again, thank you to Carlo Alfonso for the translation. Even though it wasn't perfect, it did allow me to understand the general, view of the conversation. So thank you for that. I did not understand everything, but it's okay. It's okay. So basically, Duterte said that Leni Robredo did not have the backbone, right? Like a backbone to be able to handle things, I guess, or even the presidency. Okay, so look, I'm a foreigner. I'm not Filipino. You guys say that I'm Filipino by heart, and I love that, and I appreciate that very much. But in the end, I'm not Filipino. I don't live in the Philippines, so I don't have a say. Only you guys have a say and know what's best for you. So I reacted to Bongbong Marcos. I reacted to Leni Robredo's interviews with Boy Abunda. And I work a lot with energy and logic, okay? And she did not convince me as much as Bongbong did. Like the way she would talk and, her gestures and her energy, it just didn't feel reassuring to me. Like I said, I felt like she focused too much on details and the technical aspect of things and the micro, and those things are necessary. Don't get me wrong, they are necessary. But when you're trying to be elected, you need to speak in easier terms so that the population understands you. So you need to give them the macro vision. And then when you're elected, you try your best to make that happen. Most of these candidates are never able to fulfill their promises. But I feel like it's necessary to speak in a way that allows everybody to understand you. And I feel like that's what Bongbong really did, and he has a talent for it. On the other hand, Leni struggles with that a little bit. She is very mathematical in the way she speaks. She's always like, okay, I have 5 ways, or firstly, secondly, thirdly, da-da-da-da-da-da. But that feels very academic, And that's not always what works with leaders. So I feel like she lacks certain things, and I'm sure Bongbong Marcos also lacks a bunch of things as well. But in the way he answered, I felt more reassured. I don't know. That's my feedback on this whole thing. But then again, maybe I felt a little bit disconnected from her because she wasn't speaking in English, and because the translation was not perfect, And I felt like Boy Abunda was a little tougher with her, I felt like Bongbong Marcos, his aura, his energy kind of tamed boy Abunda a little bit, you know, but she wasn't able to do the same thing with the interviewer. You know, the interviewer came at her like multiple times, stopping her and just bum 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 bum, because I think he felt like her answers were, I don't know, we're not satisfying enough. We're just maybe sometimes a bit all over the place. I don't know. But yeah, I did it. It was very long, man. Oh my goodness. I don't remember the Bongbong Marcos interview being this long. But yeah, like I don't remember Boy Abunda asking those last questions to Bongbong Marcos. But yeah, the way she kind of attacked some of the other candidates, wow, you know, I would have never done that. Like seriously, he's a liar, he's not gonna, what? No. Try to be elegant with the way you talk about other candidates. You know, you need some class. That kind of rubbed me the wrong way, to be honest with you. Well, anyway, let me know in the comment section below your thoughts on her interview. Okay, I'm not even gonna ask this question because I know that a lot of my followers, subscribers are BBM fans, you know, so even if I ask you, so who are you gonna vote for, or who are you leaning more towards, you're gonna say BBM. So I'm not even gonna answer that, ask that question. So thank you for joining me. Maraming salamat po. Take care of yourselves. May the most qualified candidate win. There you go. I'm gonna leave you with that one. Take care of yourselves and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace. Thank you for watching. Subscribe here and please like the video to show your support and appreciation for my work, and turn on the notification bell to be bugged for future content. Yayayum!